So you want to become a D1 athlete. You need to know this before you do that. So first and foremost, let's jump right into this video. Scheduling. Your schedule is absolute chaos. It's not like high school where it is 7:30 in the morning all the way until 2:50 p.m. Your schedule can be all night classes if you wanted to. Your class schedule could be all morning classes if you wanted to. If you wanted the middle of the day, hey, there's a time slot for you. All you have to do is coordinate with your coaches because your practices could be in the afternoon around 2 to 3 or 4 p.m. They could be in the mornings. Heck, they can even be in the night if you wanted to. But that is just the scheduling for practices. When it comes to traveling, when it comes to meets, you're gonna have to move around that with your academic advisor. You're gonna have to schedule test dates. You're gonna have to email professors on taking tests early, taking tests late, missing class because of practice, missing class because of meets, getting into special meets that not a lot of people get into. And you're gonna have some professors that aren't gonna allow this too. There's gonna be some cases where the professors have something up for the athletes. You're not gonna be able to get in, and that's just how it goes. You're gonna have to roll with the punches. And so I think that was one of the biggest things that I underestimated coming out of high school into college at the D1 level was scheduling. I was not ready for the schedule. I was not ready to study as much as I needed to, and I wasn't ready for the absolute amount of freedom that you have. You can choose to not study at all and just show up and then take the test. Like, there's no teacher there to really care. You're in a lecture hall with a bunch of different people throughout the entire day. Your teacher doesn't know who you are. All they care about is grading your paper, making sure they do their end of the bargain, which is just making sure they provide you with the resources to be successful. That's really about it. If you want to become personable with your teachers, you got to go show up to the office hours. You got to do all those different things on top of trying to be a successful track athlete. And so that leads me right into my next point, right, is travel. So when you first get to college, you're obviously most likely gonna get there in the fall. So it's gonna be August, September, you're gonna go do your fall training, you're gonna build up this base, you're gonna basically learn the ropes of what it takes to become a Division I college athlete, right? But then once your season begins in that December, January, February time period, you're gonna start traveling to different meets across the country. And this is really where it becomes important to be on top of your game, on top of your schedule, because traveling is draining when it comes to the bus rides from the airports to the hotel, when it comes to traveling with the team to the facilities, making sure that you bring all the right things. I remember my first ever time traveling, I just completely forgot everything. I forgot all the right clothes. I dang near even forgot my spikes and the right uniform. It just becomes stressful and it becomes overwhelming. Traveling to a different state, and on top of that too, you still got to try to compete at your best. You're facing some of the best athletes in the entire nation, and if you really think about it, all those guys that you beat in high school, they all wanted the same thing at the time. At one point in time, they wanted to go D1. They wanted to be in the same position that you're in. So if you have that mentality, if you're a high school kid wanting to go D1, just think about that every time you step on that line racing another person, is that you want to get to the next level, and so does the guy next to you. And so what are you going to do in order to make that happen? And that's really what separates the good from the best. If you want to make that travel team, it's the same difference in college too. You're racing against your college opponents. There's only about, I think, 45 to 50 people that are allowed to travel at a time. Whether you're flying, busing, they can't take everybody on the team. And so you have to have that same mentality when you want to make that travel roster. And it's a blessing to travel. It's honestly an amazing opportunity. You get to see places that you've probably never been to before, or you never be to again, to go and run and be a part of a team one last time. And that's just something you have to really get used to, is that traveling. There's some people on my team who've never even been on a plane before. So there's many different aspects when it comes to becoming a D1 athlete, but this definitely was a curveball for me in learning how to travel and still compete at a high level. Now let's talk about the most important part, performing. Performance at the D1 level is honestly chaotic. Everybody there is fast, everybody there is good. What are you gonna do to stand out? How are you gonna separate yourself from the rest of the crowd? And that is something that did take a lot of time for me to learn. It took my entire freshman year to learn how to perform at a high level and do it consistently too. It's not just about hitting a home run one time. Your coaches and your teammates and everyone else is expecting you to perform throughout the season, not just once throughout the entire year. And so you have to really learn your body, learn your training, and learn what works for you when it comes to eating the right things on the road, when it comes to preparing yourself mentally, when it comes to taking care and alleviating all your stresses before your competition. And then most important part, stepping onto that track and getting the job done, taking care of business. How are you gonna do it? How are you gonna go about it? How are you gonna execute it? What's the weather like? What are you gonna do differently than you did the week before? So there's just so many different intricate pieces that are moving in the world of track and field. And so that is another thing you got to think about too. Something that did help me really find out my race strategy and really tone things down a bit and slow down the race for me was journaling. Journaling really did help me plan things out. What could happen if this happens? What would I do if that happens? It really just slowed down the process for me, really made me go through my phases of running. As an 800-meter runner, I have different phases on which points of the races I like to surge, which points of the races I like to hold back. And that really did help me and prepare me to run some of the best races of my life this past season. And I'm gonna keep on doing it this season. And then number 4, the 4 out of the 5 points that I'm gonna list today is stress. How are you gonna be able to handle all this stress if you don't perform to your best? If you're bombing one of your classes right now, if things aren't going right, what are you gonna do to respond to that? And one of the things that really helped me get over like a stressful period is just consulting with my teammates, bro. Like, you can talk to as many people as you want and friends and family, things like that. But I mean, like, if you have a healthy environment with your teammates, and even if they're not in your event group, even if they're just people that you see on a daily basis, just talking to them, kind of just airing out your problems and just being there, bro, living in the moment and realizing that this opportunity is a once in a lifetime opportunity and that you're not going to be able to do this ever again, right? Whether or not you go pro, you don't. You're not going to be a part of a team at a university ever again. You're going to go into the real world and things are going to change. And so honestly, leaning back on my teammates, having a good time, just taking a step back and looking at it from like the whole picture and just realizing that you're in the position that you've always wanted to be in, that you've always dreamt of being in. And so slowing down in that aspect really did help me alleviate stress. But that's another thing too. If you can manage your stress levels, your emotions when you're angry, you're gonna be very successful at the next level. And then lastly is opportunity. I keep on reiterating this, but opportunity of just being there, opportunity of potentially breaking a school record. Every time you step on that track, that school record, you gotta think in your mind, that school record's at risk. At least that's what I think when I'm stepping on that track. It's like, all right, I'm number 2 all time. What do I gotta do to get to that number 1 spot? What do I gotta do to beat the person next to me? And so sometimes it's not even about the time. Sometimes it's just about winning the race. And the opportunity to compete at this level is so cool, to represent your school, represent your town, your family. Everyone that knows you, they're gonna refer to you as that guy who went D1 or that person that made it to the next level. And then now that you get to the college level, they're gonna be like, oh man, look out for that person at that university, right? And that's the mindset that I have of myself. It's like, all right, how am I gonna stand out? How am I gonna be different? What am I gonna do to take myself to that next level? Like, how can I elevate my game? What's something that I could be doing differently that the rest of the people out there aren't doing? And that's just opportunity. That's an opportunity to be great. That's an opportunity to make a change. And that's honestly my 5 steps on the aspects of becoming D1. There's so many different things and moving parts you gotta worry about when you become a D1 athlete. But for me, those are my 5. Let me know what you guys thought about this.